How to lean bulk. All right, so what is it? It is basically trying to gain muscle without gaining a significant amount of fat in the process. What does that look like? The most important thing is basically going to be your rate of gain. So how fast you're putting on weight each week is roughly going to control how much fat you're going to gain versus how much muscle. Everyone has a little bit of a variance there, but a really good number to start with is somewhere around 0.25% of your body weight. So a 100 kilo person would be around 250 grams a week. Obviously, if you're enhanced or anything like that, then it could possibly be a little bit faster, as that rate of tissue accrual is going to be slightly faster. So then the question becomes, how do we put on around 0.25% of our body weight per week? You can go up to 500 grams, but as I said, if we were talking about lean bulk, that's how you stay lean. The only difference between a lean and a dirty bulk, besides the fact that people want to eat a bunch of shit, eat cookies and just call it fitness, is the rate of gain. The only thing that differentiates this here is the rate of gain, how much weight you put on each week, and what determines that is the amount of calories you eat each day. And that's the only difference. So, meaning that lean bulking is essentially just creating a smaller calorie surplus, but still making sure it's there to make sure that we are gaining a significant amount of muscle tissue. So again, the question becomes, how do we gain 0.25% of our body weight per week? Now the answer lies in our food and our macros. So first of all, we start with protein, which is going to be the building blocks of the muscle that we're building. We're looking at somewhere around a minimum of 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. You've probably heard that 1,000 times. Then we'll do it for one. So 2 grams of protein per kilogram. You can go up to 3, but essentially if you're just trying to get some results, 2 is going to suffice. If you're more advanced, move it up to 2.5 just to be safe, but 2 will get you results. Then second of all is fats. Myself, I'm 100 kilos and I more sit towards 60 grams, so somewhere around like 0.6. At the low end, you can move up to 1 gram per kilogram at the top end. Try 0.6, but I do set a minimum threshold of around 50 grams, no matter what your body weight is, just to make sure that you're getting enough for hormones, cells, testosterone production, everything like that, brain function. Somewhere in there, experiment. I try to go more towards the lower end as often as I can get away with, as I just find it does hold a leaner physique. Now, carbs are the main thing that this sits upon because the proteins and fats will largely stay stagnant throughout the entire process, and the main thing you're going to change is carbs. Fats might come up eventually and protein might come up eventually when you gain significant amounts of weight, but for at least just say one bulking phase, you're pretty much going to leave them stagnant. So once you've got your 2 times protein, you've got your 0.6 times body weight of fats. From there, if you just take a stab at the carbs, roughly 5 grams of carbs per kilogram of body weight, somewhere to start. The only way to know if that's correct is to track your body weight and watch what happens. Now, a really, really good spot to actually start is if you can track the macros of what you're currently eating. And basically you just add a couple hundred calories of carbs, which would be say roughly 50 carbs from there. You'll be golden to start. But if you don't have that and you're just starting in from scratch, then somewhere around 5 grams of carbs per kilogram is going to be a good place. Track your body weight. It'll depend how many steps you do, your metabolism, how much body fat you carry versus muscle. So really, really take that with a grain of salt and just take a stab. But let's just say you use 5. So you got 2 times your body weight in protein, 0.6 in fats, and then 5 times in carbs. As I said, 100 kilo male. That's very easy. 200 protein, 60 fat, 500 carb. And from there, watch your body weight each week, see how it trends up. You want to roughly aim for that 0.25% of your body weight per week. Once it's hitting that, you're golden. You maintain that food until it stops working, you stop gaining weight at that rate. You add another 20 carbs per day. See what happens again. Keep adding basically 20 carbs until you hit the top end of your body weight, which is, say 15% body fat. You feel uncomfortable, you're struggling to eat, all those things. Then you do a mini cut or an extended cut if you want to get really lean, and repeat the process and keep gaining muscle. So as long as your training is at least semi-decent and you're tracking your lifts, beating them each week, you're feeling it in the right areas, you're not hurting yourself, you're going to get some kind of results. There's many more efficiencies we can gain from training, but if you have those principles, these are the main things that are going to make you gain weight. and gain muscle in a lean bulk. So the common problems are going to be, I'm not hungry, how do I eat? The first answer, which is probably isn't that helpful, is just shut the fuck up and eat it. Because if you want the result, that's what you have to do. It's what I had to do when I was very skinny, and you just sort of got to set the calories, set the meals that you're going to eat, and then eat them, whether you're hungry or not. Set them at times, space them apart. So make sure you eat as soon as you wake up, and eating kind of an hour before you go to bed. So you have this long window. You're not eating here and then not eating here. So you feel like you're trying to stuff all this food in. Eat as quickly as you can, waking up, and as close as you can going to bed without affecting your sleep. That'll make it a lot easier. Eating lower volume foods if you are struggling. So things like rice flour, rice crackers, but also things that aren't going to mess up your gut, because you could eat like high calories, say like you get GYG, and you've got a shitload of calories in, but then you're not hungry for the rest of the day. And the next meal, you're really trying to stick it down, you're bloated, the next day morning, you're not hungry. Cool, you got a bunch of calories in at once, but you're really, really holding up the train for the rest of your calories. So it's actually more efficient to get something that's maybe a little bit harder to eat right now for the same calories, but the next meal is going to be easier, and the ones after that and after that and after that are going to continually be easier. Your body's also going to get used to eating more food over time. So the first few times are hard, but then you notice you'll miss that meal by half an hour, and all of a sudden I'm getting really hungry. So you kind of just got to build it up. The other thing is obviously, you can drink your calories, like fruit juices and things of that nature. You can go more to, like, let's say, the dirtier foods, but they're more going to drive inflammation. They're going to cause negative impacts on the rest of your body, and you want to kind of keep the body working functionally as a whole in a healthy manner, which is just going to make everything work easier. The more that you can work with the body here, the easier time you're going to have. Like, muscle gain is an absolute luxury for the body. Everything else has to be on point, or it's not really going to want to consider that. So the more that you can keep it really happy and healthy, the more it's going to do what you want it to do. Now, do you have to track? In general, yes, you can obviously gain without doing that, and you're just going to have to kind of roughly eat more or eat less, but the more roughly you do the process, the more rough your outcomes are going to be. So if you can really track the process, you can really nail the outcome, essentially. The meal ideas for this kind of things is going to be like, if you have some kind of meat with some kind of carb per meal, that's your basis. Any kind of protein with a carb rather. Fats will inherently come along the way most of the time, and then you just look at the macros after you track them and see roughly if you're in the ballpark or not. The amount of meals per day matters significantly less than the total calories consumed. There is many things we can get more efficient with the meal timing and meal structure, adding things for gut health, digestibility, all that kind of thing. But if you can get these calories in, the macros for the day, you train hard, and you feel working the right muscles, you're going to grow. So we can go into more depth on training splits, exercise execution, how to make up these macros in a meal plan, how to time them, any supplements. All these extra things are going to be a little bit more advanced, but if you nail these core concepts, you will effectively do a lean gain. So if you have any more questions, let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. Other than that, happy gaining, and I'll be seeing you soon.